The blue planet looked peaceful from space. White clouds drifted over green lands and blue oceans. War Master Kitos watched the planet through his ship's window and smiled. His sharp teeth gleamed in the dim light of the command room. "Perfect," he said to his officers. "The creatures down there look weak. They will make good sport for the great hunt." The Vorthak had been hunting other species for hundreds of years. It was their favorite game. They would capture beings from different worlds and release them on special hunting planets. Then the Vorthak nobles would hunt them for fun. Every species they had caught before ran away in fear. Some tried to hide. All of them died quickly. Kitos looked at the screen showing the blue planet's surface. The beings there called themselves humans. They walked on two legs like many other species. They had no claws, no thick skin, no natural weapons. Their technology seemed basic. They used simple machines and crude weapons that threw small metal pieces. "They look even weaker than the Zeltari," said Commander Vex, Kitos' second-in-command. "The Zeltari at least had thick shells. These humans have nothing." Kitos nodded. "Send the capture teams. Take small groups from places far from their cities. We don't want to alert their governments yet. Start with 20 specimens. The first raids happened at night. Silent Vorthak ships dropped down from the dark sky. They targeted farms, small villages, and camping areas. The humans they took were sleeping or alone. The capture teams used stun weapons that made the humans fall unconscious without a sound. Hyunwoo was working late in his vegetable field when the bright light hit him. He had been a soldier for 10 years before becoming a farmer. His body was strong from years of hard work, but the alien weapon dropped him to the ground like a stone. When he woke up, he was in a metal room. The walls were smooth and cold. Strange lights glowed in the ceiling. He felt sick and dizzy. His head hurt from the stun weapon. "You're awake," said a voice nearby. Hyunwoo turned and saw a woman sitting against the wall. She was young with short black hair and smart eyes. She wore a white coat that was now dirty and torn. "I'm So-jin," she said. "I'm a doctor. Well, I was studying medicine when they took me." "Where are we?" Hyunwoo asked. He sat up slowly and looked around the room. "On an alien ship, I think," So-jin said. "There are others here too." She pointed to 3 other people in the room. A tall man with rough hands was checking the walls for weak spots. A young woman sat quietly, watching everything with careful eyes. A thin man with glasses was trying to understand some alien writing on the wall. "That's Taemin," So-jin said, pointing to the tall man. "He teaches people how to survive in the wild." "The woman is Daeun. She builds machines and computers. The man with glasses is Woo-jin. He studies history." Hyunwoo stood up and walked to each of them. "I'm Hyunwoo. I used to be a soldier." Taemin stopped checking the walls and looked at him. "Good. We need someone who knows about fighting. These aliens took us for a reason. It's probably not good." The ship shook slightly. They could feel it moving through space. None of them had ever been off Earth before. The feeling was strange and frightening. "What do you think they want?" Daeun asked. She had been quiet until now, but her voice was steady and calm. Woo-jin looked up from the alien writing. "I've been thinking about that. In human history, when one group captures people from another group, it's usually for slavery or..." He paused. "Or for sport." "Sport?" So-jin asked. "Like hunting," Woo-jin said quietly. The room became very quiet. They all understood what that meant. Hours passed. Sometimes they heard footsteps in the corridor outside their room. Strange voices spoke in a language none of them understood. The voices were deep and harsh, not like human voices at all. Hyunwoo used the time to learn about his companions. Taemin had spent years in the mountains teaching people how to find food and water in the wild. He knew which plants were safe to eat and how to make tools from natural materials. Daeun was an engineer who worked with computers and electronics. She was already studying the door to their prison, trying to understand how it worked. So-jin had medical training. She checked everyone for injuries and taught them exercises to stay healthy in the small space. Woo-jin knew many languages and was good at understanding how different groups of people behaved. He listened carefully to the alien voices and tried to learn their patterns. "We need to work together," Hyunwoo told them. "I don't know what these aliens want, but we have a better chance if we help each other." They all agreed. This was different from how other captured species had acted. Most groups fell apart when they were scared. They blamed each other or gave up hope. But these humans were already making plans. The ship suddenly stopped shaking. They had arrived somewhere. Heavy footsteps came down the corridor. The door to their room opened with a hiss. Three tall aliens stood in the doorway. They had gray skin, long arms, and faces that looked like wolves. Their eyes were yellow and cold. They wore dark armor and carried weapons that hummed with energy. "Move," said one of the aliens in broken human language. "Time for great hunt." The humans were forced out of their room and down a long corridor. They passed windows that showed a red sky and rocky ground. This was not Earth. This was somewhere far away in space. They were pushed into a large room with many other beings. Some looked like humans but had different colored skin or extra arms. Others were completely different, covered in fur or scales. All of them looked scared and confused. War Master Kitos stood on a platform above them. His voice was loud and cruel when he spoke. "Welcome to Hunting World 7, he said. "You are now prey in the great hunt. You will be released into the wild. My people will hunt you. If you survive 7 days, you will be set free." He paused and smiled, showing his sharp teeth. No one has ever survived 7 days. The other captured beings began to cry or shake with fear, but Hyunwoo and his companions looked at each other with calm eyes. They were scared too, but they were also thinking. They were planning. The Vorthak had made their first mistake. They thought humans would be easy prey. They were about to learn that humans were different from every other species they had hunted before. The great hunt was about to begin. But this time the hunters might become the hunted. The red sun rose over the rocky hunting world. Hyunwoo and his 4 companions stood at the edge of a deep valley filled with strange purple trees. They had been dropped here 6 hours ago with nothing but the clothes they wore. "The first hunting party will come at noon," Hyunwoo said, looking at the alien sun. "That gives us maybe 4 hours to prepare." While the other captured beings had scattered in all directions, screaming and running in panic, the 5 humans had stayed together. This was their second mistake the Vorthak would not understand. Taemin was already checking the purple trees. "These fruits smell safe," he said, picking a small blueberry. "The leaves can hold water. And look at this." He pointed to thick vines hanging from the branches, strong enough to hold a person's weight. Daun was studying a piece of metal that had fallen from their transport ship. "This is from their ship's hull," she said. "It's strong but light. I can make tools from this." She used a sharp rock to bend the metal into a crude knife. Sojin was checking their physical condition. "We're all healthy," she reported. "But we need water soon, and food. The stress will make us weak if we don't take care of ourselves." Woo Jin had been watching the sky. "Their ships move in patterns," he said. "Every 2 hours a patrol passes over this area. They're predictable. That's good for us." Hyunwoo listened to each report and made decisions. This was how humans worked best. Each person using their special skills to help the group survive. "Taemin, find us water and safe food," he ordered. "Daeun, make weapons and tools. Sojin, keep everyone healthy and treat any injuries. Woo Jin, watch the enemy and learn their habits. I'll plan our defense." They worked quickly and quietly. Taemin found a stream hidden under fallen rocks. The water was clean and cold. He also gathered fruits and roots that were safe to eat. His years in the mountains had taught him to find food anywhere. Daun made knives, spears, and a simple bow from the alien metal and purple wood. Her engineering skills helped her understand how to make the weapons strong and balanced. Sojin mixed plant juices to make medicine for cuts and pain. She also made sure everyone drank enough water and ate small amounts of food to keep their strength up. Woo Jin climbed the tallest tree and watched the alien ships with careful eyes. He counted how many ships there were and when they moved. He noticed that the Vorthak always attacked from the same directions. At noon, the first hunting party arrived. 3 Vorthak warriors landed their small ship in a clearing half a mile away. They were large and strong, with advanced weapons and thick armor. They expected to find scared prey running through the forest. Instead, they found nothing. The humans had hidden themselves well. They waited and watched as the 3 hunters moved through the purple trees. The Vorthak were confident and careless. They talked loudly and did not check for traps. This was their third mistake. Hyunwoo had set up the ambush perfectly. He used his military training to pick the best spot, a narrow path between 2 large rocks where the hunters would have to walk single file. When the first Vorthak stepped onto the path, Taemin's rope trap caught his leg. The alien fell hard onto sharp wooden spikes that Daun had made. His armor protected him from serious injury, but he was stuck and hurt. The second hunter rushed to help his companion. Sojin was waiting above on a rock ledge. She dropped a heavy stone that hit the alien in the head. His helmet cracked and he fell unconscious. The third hunter raised his energy weapon to shoot, but Wu Jin and Hyunwoo attacked him from both sides with spears. They moved fast and worked together. The alien was strong, but he could not fight two people at once who moved like they shared one mind. When it was over, 3 Vorthak hunters lay defeated. The humans had won their first fight. "Take their weapons and equipment," Hyunwoo ordered. "We need to move quickly. More will come." They took the aliens' energy weapons, communication devices, and medical supplies. Taeyun studied the weapons carefully. "I think I can figure out how these work," she said. The Vorthak rescue team arrived 2 hours later. They found their 3 hunters tied up and left alive, but their weapons and equipment were gone. Written in the dirt was a message in the Vorthak language that Wu Jin had learned from listening to them. The message said, "We are not prey." War Master Katos was angry when he heard the report. No prey species had ever fought back successfully. No prey had ever captured Vorthak weapons, and no prey had ever learned their language so quickly. "Send 6 hunters next time," he ordered, "and give them heavy weapons." But the humans were ready for the second attack too. By the 3rd day they had defeated 2 more hunting parties. Taeyun had learned to use the Vorthak energy weapons. Taemin had found caves where they could hide and set up better defenses. Sojin was keeping everyone healthy with alien medical supplies. Woojin was understanding more of the Vorthak language every day. Most importantly, Hyunwoo was learning how the enemy thought and fought. The Vorthak were strong and had good technology, but they were not used to fighting smart opponents. They expected fear and panic. When they found careful planning and teamwork instead, they did not know how to react. On the 4th day, something new happened. The humans found other survivors from the drop. A family of blue-skinned aliens called Kalari had been hiding in a cave. They were hurt and scared. "Please don't hurt us," the Kalari father begged when he saw the humans coming. "We're not going to hurt you," Sojin said gently. She knelt down and began treating their wounds with the medical supplies they had taken from the Vorthak. This was completely new for the Kalari. In all their legends about the Great Hunt, prey species never helped each other. They always fought for themselves alone. "Why are you helping us?" asked the Kalari mother. "Because it's right," Hyunwoo said simply. The humans shared their food and water with the Kalari family. They taught them how to hide from the hunting ships and how to find safe places to sleep. Wu Jin was especially interested in talking to the Kalari. He learned that they had been captured from their home world 6 months ago. They told him about other prey species on the hunting world, and about Vorthak weaknesses they had observed. "The hunters always attack at the same times," the Kalari father said. "Morning, noon, and evening. They never hunt at night because their eyes are not good in darkness. They are very proud," added the mother. "When they lose, they get angry and make mistakes." This information was very valuable. The humans used it to plan even better attacks. By the end of the 5th day, the humans had not just survived, they had become the hunters. Vorthak warriors were afraid to come to their section of the hunting world. Reports reached War Master Kitos that his hunters were being defeated by primitive beings with crude weapons. But the weapons were not crude anymore. Taeyeon had been improving them every day, and the humans were not primitive. They were adaptable, creative, and most importantly, they refused to give up. The Great Hunt was not going as planned. For the first time in Vorthak history, the prey was winning. Commander Vex stood before War Master Kitos with his head bowed in shame. The report he carried was the worst news in Vorthak history. "We have lost 18 hunting parties, War Master," Vex said quietly. "The humans have taken over the entire northern section of Hunting World 7. They are not just surviving, they are teaching other prey species to fight back." Kitos felt his anger rising, like hot metal in his chest. This was impossible. Humans were supposed to be weak. They had no claws, no armor, no advanced technology. Yet they were defeating his best hunters. How? Kitos demanded. "How are these creatures doing this?" "They work together in ways we have never seen," Vex explained. "When we attack one group, others come to help. They share food, weapons, and information. They seem to care more about the survival of the group than themselves." This made no sense to Kitos. In Vorthak culture, only the strong survived. The weak were left behind. Individual strength was everything. But these humans seemed to get stronger when they worked together. Meanwhile, on the hunting world, the humans had built something that had never existed before, a safe place for prey species. Hyunwoo looked out over the camp they had created in a hidden valley. 50 beings from 6 different species now lived here under human protection. The Kalari family had been joined by Zentari miners, Thek farmers, and others who had escaped from hunting parties. "This is incredible," said Ji-hoon, a new human who had arrived 3 days ago. He was an engineer who specialized in electronics. "Look what you've built here." The camp was well organized and defended. Taemin had taught everyone how to find food and water. Daeun had set up workshops where they made weapons and tools. Sojin ran a medical center using both human knowledge and alien supplies. Woo-jin had become a translator who helped different species communicate with each other. "It's not just about surviving anymore," Hyunwoo told Ji-hoon. "It's about showing everyone that the Vorthak can be beaten." Ji-hoon was amazed by the technology they had captured and improved. Daeun had not just learned to use Vorthak weapons, she had made them better. She had figured out how to increase their power and accuracy. She had also built communication devices that could intercept Vorthak messages. "This is advanced stuff," Ji-hoon said, examining a modified energy rifle. "You've improved their design in ways they probably never thought of." "Humans are good at taking old ideas and making them better," Daeun replied with a small smile. "But the most important change was not in their weapons or technology. It was in how the different species worked together." Yoonji, a human chemist who had been captured 2 weeks ago, was teaching Zentari miners how to make explosives from local materials. The Zentari were naturally good at understanding rocks and minerals. Together, they created bombs that could damage Vorthak ships. Seok-jin was a former human soldier who specialized in tactics and strategy. He was training mixed groups of different species to fight as teams. The Thek were naturally fast and quiet, making them good scouts. The Kalari were excellent climbers and could attack from above. "Every species has different strengths," Seok-jin explained to a group of new trainees. "Humans are good at planning and adapting. Kalari can climb and see well. Zentari are strong and tough. Thek are fast and quiet. When we combine all these strengths, we become much more powerful than any one species alone." This was a completely new idea for most of the alien species. They had always thought about survival as every individual for themselves. The concept of different groups working together for everyone's benefit was revolutionary. The humans also did something else that shocked their alien companions. They shared their most advanced knowledge freely. When Yoonji developed a new explosive formula, she immediately taught it to everyone who wanted to learn. When Ji-hoon figured out how to hack Vorthak communication systems, he made sure every group in the camp knew how to do it. "Why do you give away your secrets?" asked Kazari, the Kalari father. "In our culture, knowledge is power. You keep it to make yourself stronger." "Knowledge is more powerful when everyone has it," Yoonji explained. "If only I know how to make explosives and something happens to me, then we lose that ability. But if everyone knows, then we're all stronger and safer." This sharing of knowledge made the resistance grow faster than the Vorthak had ever imagined possible. War Master Kitos decided to end the problem with overwhelming force. He sent his personal guard, 20 elite hunters with the most advanced weapons, to destroy the human camp once and for all, but the humans were ready for them. Woo-jin had been intercepting Vorthak communications for days. He knew about the attack before the elite hunters even left their ship. 20 hunters coming from the east, he reported to Hyunwoo. Heavy weapons and armor. They planned to attack at dawn. The defense of the camp was the first real battle between the species. Humans provided the strategy and leadership. Kalari scouts moved through the trees to gather information about enemy positions. Centauri fighters took the most dangerous positions because their thick skin could protect them better. Thek warriors used their speed to attack and retreat quickly. But the real surprise for the Vorthak was the traps that Ji-hoon and Daeun had built, using modified alien technology. When the elite hunters advanced on the camp, they walked into a network of sensors that detected their approach. Hidden weapon systems built from captured Vorthak equipment opened fire automatically. Explosives that Yoonji had made were triggered by remote control at exactly the right moments. The Vorthak had expected to fight primitive beings with simple weapons. Instead, they found themselves facing their own technology turned against them by creatures they had thought were too stupid to understand it. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it was over, 15 of the 20 elite hunters were captured alive. 5 had escaped to report back to their war master. Among the captured hunters was Sub-Commander Korvac, one of Kitos's most trusted officers. The aliens were brought before Hyunwoo and the other leaders. "You fought well," Hyunwoo told Korvac with respect. "Your people are strong warriors." Korvac was confused. In Vorthak culture, prisoners were either killed or tortured. He had never heard of an enemy showing respect to a captured warrior. "Why do you not kill us?" Korvac asked. "Because we are not like you," Sojin answered. She was treating wounds on both Vorthak prisoners and resistance fighters equally. "We fight to protect others, not for pleasure." Over the next few days, something remarkable happened. The captured Vorthak began to observe how the different species lived together in the camp. They saw humans sharing food with beings they had never met before. They watched different species working together to solve problems. They witnessed sick and injured aliens being cared for regardless of what species they belonged to. This was completely opposite to everything they had been taught about how the universe worked. "Your War Master told us that strength comes from conquering others," Korvac said to Wu Jin during one of their conversations. "But you seem to get stronger by helping others." "How is this possible?" "When everyone is strong, everyone benefits," Wu Jin explained. "When only one person is strong, they have to fight alone against all problems. When many people are strong together, they can face much bigger challenges." Some of the Vorthak prisoners began to question everything they had been taught about strength, power, and survival. Word of the Resistance's victory spread to other hunting worlds through secret communications. For the first time, prey species on different planets began to coordinate their efforts. The humans had not just survived the Great Hunt, they had turned it into something completely different. They had turned it into a revolution. War Master Kitos stared at the holographic display showing all 12 Vorthak hunting worlds. Red lights blinked on 11 of them. Each red light meant a world where prey species were fighting back successfully. "This is impossible," he growled. "It started with just 5 humans on one world. How has it spread so far?" His advisors shifted nervously. None of them had good answers. "The humans have been communicating with resistance groups on other worlds," reported Intelligence Officer Herrick. "They share their tactics and strategies through captured communication equipment. Each group learns from the other's successes." Kitos felt his empire crumbling around him. The Vorthak had ruled through fear for centuries. When other species saw their power, they submitted without fighting. But now species across the galaxy were watching humans defeat Vorthak forces again and again. On Hunting World 7, the Resistance had grown into something that looked more like a small nation than a group of escaped prisoners. Kyung-ho, a former naval officer who had been captured a month ago, stood on a hill overlooking the main settlement. Below him, thousands of beings from dozens of species worked together in harmony. They had built houses, farms, workshops, and schools. "It's amazing what we've accomplished," said Ha-un, the tactical analyst who had become his closest friend among the humans. "But we need to think bigger. The Vorthak will never stop hunting unless we make them stop completely." Kyung-ho nodded. His military experience told him that they were still in danger. "They're going to send warships eventually. We've embarrassed them too much for them to just give up." He was right. At that moment, Kitos was preparing the largest military operation in Vorthak history. He would not just send hunters anymore. He would send battle fleets to destroy every hunting world that had fallen to the Resistance. But Kyung-ho and Ha-un had been planning for this possibility. "Look at this," Ha-un said, showing him a map of Vorthak space. "Their empire depends on supply lines. Ships carrying food, fuel, and weapons travel along the same routes every week. If we could capture some of those ships, we could cut off their resources." Kyung-ho finished her thought. "And we'd have real warships instead of modified hunting vessels." The plan was ambitious and dangerous. They would need to coordinate attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. They would need ships capable of space combat, not just planetary defense. Fortunately, the humans had been busy. Ji-hoon and Da-un had spent weeks studying captured Vorthak ships. They had not just learned how to operate them, they had learned how to improve them. Human engineering combined with alien technology had produced vessels that were faster and more efficient than the original designs. "We've modified 15 ships so far," Ji-hoon reported to the Resistance leadership. "Each one can carry 50 fighters and enough supplies for long-range operations." Dong-hyun, a former intelligence officer, had been working on a different kind of preparation. He had been studying Vorthak culture and psychology. Their entire society is built on the idea that they are the strongest, he explained. When we defeat them, it doesn't just hurt their military. It destroys their sense of identity. We can use that. He had developed a plan for psychological warfare that would be just as effective as their military attacks. The first coordinated strike happened on a day that would be remembered throughout the galaxy. At exactly the same time, Resistance forces attacked Vorthak supply convoys in 8 different star systems. The attacks were perfectly timed and coordinated through a communication network that Ji-Hoon had built using captured alien technology. On Hunting World 3, Kalari fighters led by human advisors captured a transport ship carrying advanced weapons. On Hunting World 9, Zentari and Thek warriors, working together, seized a fuel depot that supplied an entire sector of the Vorthak fleet. But the most important victory happened near the Vorthak homeworld. Itself, Kyung-ho led a small fleet of modified ships in an attack on a major supply convoy. The Vorthak escorts expected to fight primitive prey species with crude weapons. Instead, they faced their own technology operated by beings who had improved it beyond its original capabilities. The battle was swift and decisive. The Resistance captured 3 heavy cruisers and enough supplies to outfit their growing fleet. But more importantly, they sent a message that Dong-hyun had prepared. It was broadcast on all Vorthak communication channels throughout the Empire. The message was simple. We were your prey. Now we are your equals. Soon we will be your teachers. The psychological impact was devastating. Across the Vorthak Empire, citizens began to question their government's claims of superiority. If humans could defeat their military forces, maybe the Vorthak were not the master race they claimed to be. On the Vorthak homeworld, protests began in the capital city. Citizens demanded to know why their government had started a war they were losing against supposedly primitive species. War Master Kitos found himself fighting on 2 fronts, against the human-led resistance in space, and against his own people who were losing confidence in his leadership. Meanwhile, the resistance continued to grow and evolve. Sang-min, a former diplomat who had been captured recently, was working on the most ambitious project yet. He was creating a formal alliance between all the species that had been freed. From the hunting worlds, we need more than just military cooperation, he explained. To a gathering of leaders from 12 different species, we need a new kind of government, one based on cooperation instead of domination. This was a revolutionary idea. Most galactic governments were empires ruled by single species. The concept of different species sharing power equally was almost unheard of. But the humans had already proven that cooperation was more powerful than competition. The alliance they proposed was based on the same principles that had made their resistance so successful. Each species would contribute their unique strengths to the common good. Decisions would be made by consensus, not by force. Knowledge and resources would be shared freely among all members. The Vorthak tried to build their empire by making other species weak, Sang-min said. We will build our alliance by making every species stronger. The idea spread rapidly through the resistance networks. Species that had been enemies for centuries began working together under human guidance. The humans had not just taught them how to fight, they had taught them how to build something better than what they were fighting against. When reports of this alliance reached War Master Kitos, he realized that he was no longer fighting to maintain the Great Hunt. He was fighting to save the Vorthak Empire itself. The prey species were not just escaping anymore. They were building a rival civilization based on completely different principles. If they succeeded, it would prove that the Vorthak way of life was not just wrong, it was inferior. Kitos made a desperate decision. He would gather every available warship and launch a final assault on the human homeworld. If he could not defeat them in space, he would destroy the planet that had created them. But the humans were already 3 steps ahead of him. Ji-1, the strategic planner who had become the Resistance's chief coordinator, had been expecting this move for weeks. The Alliance fleet was ready for the final confrontation. The war that had started as a hunting game was about to become the battle that would determine the future of the galaxy. The Vorthak war fleet was the largest ever assembled. 300 warships filled the space around Earth's solar system like a swarm of metal insects. War Master Kitos stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the blue planet that had caused him so much trouble. Today we end this rebellion, he announced to his officers. We will destroy the human homeworld and show the galaxy what happens to those who challenge Vorthak power. But as his ships moved toward Earth, Kaitos received a communication that surprised him. "War Master Kaitos," said a calm human voice. "This is G1 of the Free Species Alliance. We would like to speak with you before this battle begins." Kaitos laughed harshly. "You want to surrender? It is too late for that." "We want to offer you a choice," G1 replied. "You can attack Earth and face the consequences. Or you can meet with us and learn about a better way forward." "What consequences could you possibly threaten me with?" Kaitos demanded. "You are primitives with a few stolen ships. I have the greatest fleet in galactic history." "Look behind you," G1 said simply. Kaitos turned to his sensor operator, who had gone pale with shock. "War Master," the operator said quietly. "There are ships approaching from all directions. Hundreds of them." The Alliance fleet had been waiting. Ships crewed by dozens of different species emerged from hiding spots throughout the solar system. They had been invisible to Vorthak sensors because they used technology that combined the best ideas from many different civilizations. But the Alliance fleet was not the biggest. "Surprise, War Master," his communication officer reported with a shaking voice. "We are receiving messages from our own ships. Some of our captains are asking for permission to join the Alliance fleet." This was impossible. Vorthak loyalty was absolute. No Vorthak warrior would ever betray their own people. But on 12 ships in his own fleet, Vorthak crews were refusing to follow orders. These were ships that had captured Vorthak prisoners during the resistance campaigns. The crews had spent months observing how the Alliance treated prisoners and civilians. Captain Zorvak, commander of the heavy cruiser Domination, was one of them. "I have seen how they treat their enemies," Zorvak said over the fleet communication channel. "They do not torture or kill prisoners. They share food with hungry beings regardless of species. They heal the wounded even if those wounded were trying to kill them minutes before. They are weak." Kaitos roared. "No," Zorvak replied. "They are strong in ways we never understood. When we capture territory, we rule through fear. When they capture territory, they build schools and hospitals. Which approach creates more loyal citizens?" Other Vorthak captains began to speak up. They had all seen the same things. The Alliance did not conquer, it invited. It did not enslave, it liberated. It did not destroy, it built. On Earth, billions of humans watched the confrontation through broadcasts from the Alliance fleet. They saw their former captives offering peace to the very beings who had hunted them for sport. President Kim Min-soo stood in the United Nations building, addressing the world. "6 months ago, our people were taken from us for entertainment," she said. "Today, those same people are offering friendship to their former captors. This is what makes humanity special. Not our technology or our weapons, but our belief that any being can choose to be better than they were." In space, the two fleets faced each other. But instead of opening fire, something unprecedented happened. Ships from both sides began to move toward a neutral meeting point. Vorthak vessels that still loyal to Kaitos mixed with ships that had declared for the Alliance. The situation was so complex that no one was sure who was allied with whom. War Master Kaitos found himself isolated. Most of his fleet had either joined the Alliance or declared neutrality. Only his most loyal ships remained under his command. "You have betrayed everything we stand for," he told the defecting captains. "No," replied Captain Zorvak. "We are becoming what we should have been all along." The final confrontation was not a space battle. It was a meeting. Representatives from both sides gathered on a neutral space station. War Master Kaitos sat across a table from G1 and other Alliance leaders. For the first time, he was looking at his enemies face to face without weapons or barriers between them. "What do you want?" Kaitos asked. "We want to end the hunting," G1 said. "We want to free all the prisoners on all the hunting worlds. And we want to offer your people a chance to join something better than an empire. You want us to surrender. We want you to evolve." Sang-min, the diplomat, leaned forward. "Your empire is based on making others weak so you can feel strong. Our alliance is based on making everyone strong together. Which approach has worked better?" Kaitos looked around the room. Alliance representatives included members of dozens of species, including some Vorthak who had joined willingly. They worked together with an efficiency and harmony his own officers had never achieved. "What happens to me if I agree?" he asked. "You help us rebuild. said Sojin, the medical researcher who had been one of the first prisoners. You use your knowledge of the galaxy to help us free the remaining prisoners and heal the damage that has been done. And if I refuse? Then you continue fighting a war you have already lost, Hyunwoo said quietly. Your own people are abandoning you. Your empire is collapsing. You can go down with it, or you can help us build something better. War Master Kitos sat in silence for a long time. Everything he had believed about strength and power had been proven wrong. The weak prey species had become stronger than his mighty empire, not through conquest but through cooperation. Finally he spoke. I do not understand how you do it, he said. How do you make enemies into friends? How do you turn weakness into strength? We don't see enemies, Ji-won explained. We see potential friends who are fighting us because they are afraid or confused. We don't see weakness. We see different kinds of strength that can complement our own. This is not how the universe works, Kitos protested. It is how the universe could work, Sang-min replied. We are proving it right here, right now. The transformation did not happen overnight. It took months of careful negotiation and gradual change. But eventually, the Vorthak Empire became part of the Free Species Alliance. The hunting worlds were converted into refugee centers and educational facilities. Former prisoners became teachers, showing other species how to build cooperative societies. Former hunters became students, learning new ways to find purpose and meaning in their lives. War Master Kitos himself became an unlikely ally. His knowledge of galactic politics and military strategy proved valuable in defending the Alliance against other aggressive empires. A year after the last great hunt, he stood on the observation deck of a space station orbiting Earth. Beside him was Hyunwoo, the former soldier who had become one of his closest advisors. I still do not fully understand it, Kitos admitted. How did your people know that cooperation would be stronger than competition? Hyunwoo smiled. We didn't know for sure. We just believed that beings are better when they work together than when they work alone. And we were willing to prove it even when it seemed impossible. Below them, Earth glowed blue and peaceful in the starlight. Ships from dozens of species moved peacefully through the system, carrying trade goods, students, and ambassadors. The galaxy is different now, Kitos observed. It is what it always could have been, Hyunwoo replied. We just had to show everyone that a better way was possible. The Great Hunt was over. The Great Alliance had begun, and humanity had taught the galaxy the most important lesson of all. True strength comes not from dominating others, but from lifting them up. In the end, the Vorthak had been right about one thing. Hunting humans had been a mistake, but not for the reasons they had expected. It was a mistake because it had awakened something in humanity that would reshape the galaxy forever. The unshakable belief that every being deserved freedom, dignity, and a chance to reach their full potential. The prey had become the teachers, and the galaxy would never be the same.